Welcome to our video on the fascinating world of Pokemon and their placement on the Tree of Life. Today, we take a closer look at Raticate and its relationship to Venusaur. As we discussed in episode 1, mammals are also synapsids, so today we will directly address the class of mammals. Mammals are a class of vertebrates, with around 6,600 extant species. Their defining characteristics include nursing their young with milk produced in the mammary glands of females, as well as having hair, which, in combination with their warm-blooded temperature regulation, makes them relatively independent of environmental temperatures. With few exceptions, monotremes, mammals give birth to live young. Mammals are most diverse on land, but they also inhabit the air and water. Their behavioral spectrum is broad and flexible, with some groups exhibiting complex social structures. Mammals are divided into three subclasses: egg-laying monotremes, marsupials, and placental mammals. A coat of hair is one of the most important characteristics of mammals. Even though some species, such as whales, are practically hairless, they have evolved from hairy ancestors and exhibit hair growth at least during their embryonic development. Most mammal species are covered with hair over most of their bodies for their entire lives. Hair is primarily made of the protein keratin. The hair of animals can serve several functions. The fur serves for thermoregulation, insulating against cold and sometimes protecting against hot weather. This insulation is a crucial requirement for maintaining a constant body temperature. Specific coloration and arrangement of the hair serve as camouflage and visual protection for both prey and predators. Various mammal species change their coat color seasonally for this purpose, for example, snow hares and Arctic foxes. Conspicuous coat patterns can also serve as a warning to predators, for example, in skunks. The hair coat can mark differences between sexes, lion's mane, facial and chest hair in humans. Hair can also serve for communication, such as the raised hackles of a wolf or the raised white tail of a white-tailed deer as a flight signal. In some mammals, like hedgehogs, porcupines, and echidnas, part of the hair has developed into spines that provide additional protection against predators. Mammals are generally characterized by a heterodont dentition with 4 different types of teeth, incisors, canines, and 2 types of molars. The number of each type of tooth is represented by the dental formula. A heterodont dentition is an important distinguishing feature from the homodont, uniform, dentition of reptiles and is particularly significant in the classification of fossils. Most mammals experience a single tooth replacement. First, they develop milk teeth, which are later replaced by the second or permanent teeth. A number of mammalian groups possess rootless teeth that continue to grow throughout their lives and are worn down by abrasion. These include, for example, the gnawing teeth of rodents or the tusks of elephants, narwhals, walruses, and other species. Monotremes do not have teeth in adulthood. Only hatchlings have an egg tooth, comparable to that of birds, which they use to break through the eggshell. The dentition of marsupials differs in some aspects from that of placental mammals. For example, all taxa except wombats have a different number of incisors in the upper and lower jaws. Early marsupials had a dental formula of 5/4-1-1-3/3-4/4, which totals 50 teeth. Even today, these animals often have 40 to 50 teeth, significantly more than comparable placental mammals. Early placental mammals had a dental formula of 3/3-1/1-4/4/3/3, totaling 44 teeth. This original dental formula is still found in some species, such as the wild boar. In most cases, a specialized diet has led to a reduction in the number of teeth. A few taxa, such as anteaters or pangolins, have become completely toothless. The reverse case, an evolutionary increase in the number of teeth, has only occurred in a few instances. The giant armadillo has up to 100 peg-like teeth in its tubular snout, the highest number of any terrestrial mammal. A special case is the toothed whales, whose teeth have reverted to uniformity. In some dolphin species, the number of teeth can be as high as 260. Throughout their evolutionary history, mammals have inhabited nearly all habitats and diversified into a wide variety of forms. Several species have adapted to an aquatic lifestyle. Whales are the most specialized, with body structures similar to those of fish. Their forelimbs have transformed into flippers, their hind limbs have regressed, and their tails have become flukes. Other taxa, such as seals and manatees, show less advanced adaptations to water. Bats are the only vertebrates, besides birds and extinct pterosaurs, capable of active flight. They have greatly elongated fingers that support their wing membranes. Additionally, several mammalian taxa have independently developed gliding membranes, enabling them to glide passively. These include colugo, flying squirrels, and the three families of gliding marsupials, sugar gliders, ringtail possums, and feathertail gliders. Various mammals are adapted to a subterranean burrowing lifestyle. These species have cylindrical bodies with short limbs often modified into digging tools. Numerous species lead an arboreal lifestyle, characterized by grasping paws with opposable thumbs and prehensile tails. Inhabitants of grasslands and other open habitats often show a reduction in toe number and the development of hooves or hardened toes, while others have significantly enlarged hind legs and have developed a hopping locomotion. Many species, primarily smaller, secretive ones, have a compact body with short limbs, including numerous rodents and insectivores. There are also considerable differences in size. The smallest mammals, such as the bumblebee bat and the Etruscan shrew, each weigh only around 2 grams. In contrast, the blue whale is considered the largest animal to have ever lived on Earth, reaching up to 150 tons in exceptional cases, which is 75 million times the weight of the smallest mammals. Mammals are globally distributed, found on all continents, in all oceans, and on most islands. Monotremes are restricted to Australia and New Guinea, while marsupials inhabit both the Australian continent and Southeast Asia east of the Wallace Line, as well as North, Central, and South America. Placental mammals have a worldwide distribution but were represented by relatively few species in Australia until the arrival of humans, specifically bats and true mice. On remote islands, the mammalian fauna was limited until humans arrived. On many islands, including New Zealand, bats were the only mammals. Mammals have inhabited nearly every region of the Earth and can be found in most habitats. They live in deserts and forests, in high mountains, and even in polar regions. One of the few regions where no mammals are found, at least, aside from temporary human presence, is the interior of the Antarctic continent. Several groups of mammals, such as marine mammals, have adapted to life in the sea. However, only a few specialized whale species are found in the deep sea. Just as mammals differ in terms of their body structure and habitats, their lifestyles are equally diverse. There are diurnal, crepuscular, nocturnal, and cathemeral, active both day and night, species. Social behavior varies significantly as well. Alongside strictly solitary species, others live in groups of up to thousands of animals. Some species have developed complex behavior patterns, establishing a strict hierarchy within the group and communicating through sounds, gestures, or body postures. Although rare, there are also mammals that use toxins for defense or hunting. Some mammals avoid climatically extreme periods and the associated food scarcity by entering hibernation or torpor, particularly during cold or dry seasons. During this time, their body temperature drops to nearly ambient levels, breathing and heart rate slow down, and metabolism is reduced. In general, mammals have well-developed hearing. A special form of this is echolocation, where the returning echo of emitted sound waves is used to determine one's position or locate prey. Echolocation is particularly pronounced in two taxa, toothed whales and bats, but it is also found in other groups. The sense of touch is also used to perceive the environment. Many species have developed special whiskers, vibrissae, for this purpose, which are extraordinarily sensitive and can be controlled by muscle movements. The skin itself is also a sensory organ, with certain body parts being particularly rich in mechanoreceptors, such as the fingertips of primates or the nasal and trunk regions of many species. The best developed sense of touch among all mammals is generally attributed to the star-nosed mole. In this context, mention should also be made of the fine electroreceptors in the beak of monotremes, which respond to the muscle movements of their prey. In social interactions, the sense of touch is often significant, such as in mutual grooming practiced by many animals. The importance of vision varies greatly. It often plays only a subordinate role, especially in subterranean animals, whose eyes are often regressed. However, large eyes and relatively good vision are found in species such as cats and primates. The position of the eyes is also crucial. Predators usually have forward-facing eyes, which allow for spatial vision and thus more accurate distance estimation, while the eyes of prey animals are often positioned on the sides, providing almost a complete panoramic view and early detection of dangers. One commonality among all mammals is their high energy and consequently food requirement compared to other animals of similar size, which is a result of their constant body temperature. Some species consume nearly their own body weight in food daily. There is a vast range in the types of food they eat, including herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. The number and structure of their teeth, as well as the design of their digestive systems, reflect their dietary habits. Carnivores have short intestines to avoid the quick production of toxins from their food. Herbivores, whose food is generally harder to digest, have developed several strategies to make the most of the nutrients. These include longer intestines, multi-chambered stomachs, such as in ruminants or kangaroos, or checotrophy, the re-ingestion of feces in rodents and rabbits. Pure leaf-eating species, such as koalas or sloths, make the most of their nutrient-poor food by taking very long rest periods. It is indisputable that mammals evolved from synapsids, a group of reptiles characterized by a single temporal fenestra in their skulls, which flourished during the Permian period. Within the synapsids, the therapsids, the so-called mammal-like reptiles, developed, already exhibiting some mammalian traits such as differentiated teeth and possibly body hair. One group of therapsids was the cynodontia, characterized by an enlarged brain and a specialized jaw structure, among other features. Mammals and their close relatives are classified in the taxon Eucynodontia, whose best-known representative is Cynognathus. The sister taxon to mammals is either the Trithelodontidae, a group of very small, carnivorous animals, or the Tritylodontidae, a group of herbivores up to 1 meter in length. Certain anatomical features support each group, but the majority of researchers favor the Trithelodontidae. The non-mammalian therapsids were gradually displaced by the dinosaurs, with the last ones dying out in the early Cretaceous. There is controversy over which animal should be considered the oldest mammal. Some animals exhibit transitional features between reptiles and mammals in the structure of their ear, lower jaw, jaw joint, and teeth. Some researchers therefore classify them as mammaliaforms, or mammal-like or proto-mammals, not yet true mammals in the strict sense, while others include them in the mammalian classification. According to some sources, Atolobacillus cromptoni is the oldest known mammal. Parts of its skull from the late Triassic have been found in Texas. The structure of its ear suggests that this animal represents at least a transitional stage between cynodonts and true mammals. Without further fossil evidence, the taxonomic status of Atolobacillus cromptoni remains uncertain. Cynoconodon is also sometimes referred to as the oldest mammal. Relatively well-preserved fossils of this species have been found in China. The animal lived during the early Jurassic and already displayed jaw features typical of modern mammals. However, other characteristics, such as multiple tooth replacements and continuous skull growth, are still reptilian traits. The Morganeucodonta were a group of shrew-like, roughly 10 cm long, presumably insect-eating animals that are documented from the late Triassic to the Middle Jurassic and have been found in numerous regions around the world. The most well-known representatives were Morganeucodon and Megazostrodon. In the structure of their lower jaw and teeth, their molars are characterized by 3 prominent cusps. They are similar to modern mammals, with the most significant difference being the double jaw joint. The Docodonta, whose most well-known representatives are the genera Haldanodon and Docodon, are considered to be more mammal-like than the Morganeucodonta. They are characterized by significantly broadened molars, which enable effective chewing, but their jaw joint still shows similarities to their reptilian ancestors. Docodonta were widespread from the Middle Jurassic to the early Cretaceous, though the classification of a find from the late Cretaceous, Rheogotherium, is doubtful. Hadrocodium wui, whose remains were found in Lower Jurassic strata in China, is considered a sister taxon to the true mammals and is sometimes referred to as the first mammal. It was a tiny animal, likely weighing only about 2 grams, but it already possessed a secondary jaw joint and an enlarged brain. The differences from true mammals lie in details of the structure of its teeth and lower jaw. Mammals in the strict sense, as opposed to mammals in the broader sense or mammaliaforms, are defined as the group that includes the last common ancestor of all living mammals and its descendants. This taxon has been documented at least since the Middle Jurassic, although the evolutionary history within this group is highly contested. It is uncertain when the ancestors of today's monotremes, platypuses and echidnas, branched off from the evolutionary line of other mammals. The idea that monotremes evolved independently from other mammals from a separate branch of the Cynodontia has largely been dismissed today. A new but disputed theory places these animals in a taxon called Australosphenida, whose representatives spread across the then southern continent of Gondwana from the Middle Jurassic. Other theories view them as an isolated side branch that separated early from other mammals. Still, other researchers consider monotremes to be closely related to marsupials. In any case, the earliest unequivocal fossils attributable to a monotreme ancestor date from the Cretaceous period. The Multituberculata formed a diverse group of animals named after the numerous cusps on their molars. Often externally similar to rodents, the earliest representatives of this group have been documented since the Middle Jurassic. The Multituberculata survived the extinction of the dinosaurs and only became extinct in the Oligocene. The evolutionary status of these animals is disputed. Some authors even suggest they represent merely a convergent development to mammals, originating from a different branch of the Cynodontia. They are, however, mostly regarded today as a side line within the Mammalia, whose position on the family tree is uncertain. The group Eleutheria includes the Multituberculata, the Haramyida, a group of presumably herbivorous animals from the Upper Triassic and Jurassic, and the Gondwanatheria, which lived during the Cretaceous and Paleocene in Gondwana. This classification is primarily based on similarities in the structure of the molars, but it is disputed because the Haramyida display some primitive traits and may represent a much earlier side branch. The Eutriconodonta comprise several mammal groups characterized by 3-cusped molars. These include the Amphileistidae from the Middle Jurassic to the Lower Cretaceous, the Gobiconodontidae from the Lower Cretaceous, which includes the newly discovered Repenonomus giganticus, a dog-sized predator, and the Triconodontidae, which lived from the Upper Jurassic to the Middle Cretaceous. However, it is disputed whether these groups were really closely related. Holotheria is the taxon within the true mammals, excluding the groups mentioned above, although some systematics include certain groups of Eutriconodonta. The Holotheria include Queniotherium and related species, the Queniotheria, which are characterized by advanced dental structures and primitive jaw features. Many authors consider Queniotherium to be a much more primitive genus, making the term Holotheria controversial. Trichnotheria refers to a taxon within Holotheria that is divided into groups such as Spalacotheroidea, known only from sparse tooth and jaw finds, and Cladotheria. Within Cladotheria, there was a division into Dryolestida, which lived during the Upper Jurassic and Cretaceous, into some other side branches, as well as into a taxon called Boreosphenida or Tribosphenida. The terms Tribosphenida, McKenna 1975, and Boreosphenida, Luo et al., 2001, refer to a very similar, nearly identical taxon except for a few species. Besides some side branches, this group includes the Theria in the strict sense. Theria is the taxon that includes the last common ancestor of marsupials, Metatheria, and placental mammals, Eutheria, and all its descendants. The oldest known representatives of both taxa date from the Lower Cretaceous, around 125 million years ago, with Cynodelphi solei for marsupials and Eomea scansoria for placental mammals. Generally, Mesozoic mammals were small, most reaching only the size of mice or rats. From their teeth, most species are inferred to have had a diet consisting of insects and other invertebrates, and from the form of their brains and sensory organs, they are inferred to have been primarily nocturnal. The question remains why most Mesozoic mammals remained relatively uniform in size, body structure, and lifestyle, especially considering the massive radiation in size and dietary habits that occurred in a very short evolutionary period, around 5 million years, after the start of the Cenozoic. This question is generally answered by the competition with dinosaurs, which, as long as they existed, exerted selective pressure that prevented larger mammals. This view is sometimes questioned, given the enormous size difference and different lifestyles from dinosaurs, which were presumably diurnal. There could have been a series of medium-sized mammals. Various physiological constraints have been proposed, such as a lack of ability to regulate body temperature or not yet fully developed chewing and digestive systems. However, recent discoveries indicate higher specialization among Mesozoic mammals. Castorocata was at least partially aquatic, Volaticotherium was equipped with gliding membranes, and Fritifossor shows adaptations to an insectivorous lifestyle similar to those of anteaters. Repenonomus, which lived in the Lower Cretaceous in China, reached a length of over 1 meter and its weight is estimated at 12 to 14 kilograms. It is the largest known mammal from the Mesozoic and also fed on small dinosaurs. Marsupials were restricted to North America, except for some isolated finds in East Asia. The oldest extant groups include possums, whose ancestors are already known from this time. Placental mammals split into the superorders determined today by molecular genetic studies: Xenarthra, Afrotheria, Loriciotheria, Euarchontoglires, which was facilitated by tectonic shifts, including the breakup of Gondwana. These splits are mainly supported by molecular genetic calculations, with fossil finds of placental mammals from the Upper Cretaceous being very rare and only documented in North America and East Asia. The best-known genera of this era include Asiarix, the Leptictida, possibly ancestors of insectivores, the Zalamdolestidae, possible ancestors of rodents, the Zolestidae, possible ancestors of ungulates, and Similestes, possibly an ancestor of carnivores. However, the classification of these taxa is controversial. Mammals unequivocally related to modern species only appeared in the Paleocene. By the end of the Cretaceous, most of the aforementioned mammal sidelines, except for Multituberculata, had likely gone extinct. The extinction of the dinosaurs left many ecological niches vacant, which were occupied by numerous newly emerging mammal groups. Throughout the Cenozoic, mammals evolved to become the dominant vertebrate group on land. The present-day orders emerged, although the evolutionary history was far from linear, being shaped by evolutionary dead ends, displacement processes, and entirely extinct mammal groups. The evolutionary lines in some groups, e.g., horses or proboscideans, are relatively well documented and researched through fossil finds. South America played a special role, being isolated from other continents for most of the Cenozoic. This insular situation allowed many species to invade ecological niches and develop a unique fauna, including Sparacidonta, marsupial hyenas, a group of carnivorous marsupials, Possatuberculata, a diverse marsupial group still living on in shrew possums, and South American ungulates, Meridiungulata. After the formation of the Central American land bridge, mammals from the north invaded and mostly displaced the native species. Most mammal orders are documented since the Eocene, including the ancestors of the most specialized groups, bats and whales. In the same period, the first gigantic forms like Uintatherium appeared. This development culminated in Paraceratherium, also known as Baluchitherium or Indracotherium, the largest known land mammal at 5.5 meters shoulder height and weighing 10 to 15 tons. Mammals reached their highest species diversity in the Miocene. Since then, climatic conditions have continuously deteriorated, culminating in the ice ages of the Pleistocene. That's it for today. We will upload a second video later this week, specifically focused